and girls, babies in your diapers. Welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius. Today we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a very cool video to talk about, a book about time travel, marble and scroll port, and we got a totally awesome guest. The one, the only, the amazing Rocky Haag. Rocky is a legislative assistant to Representative Mike LaRosa, and today he's going to teach me about what is politics.
Tiberius, I'm really excited to be on your show and talk about politics with you. I got started in politics at a very young age, so this makes perfect sense. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. Today, I'm going to start off with the video game of the week, and this is going to be an experiment.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Loud Experiment. So this is a game on the Roblox platform. It was made by Sharkbite Studios. Because it is on Roblox, you're able to play it on PC, Mac, Xbox, and even your cell phone. And it is free. You may remember Sharkbite because they also made Miner Diver, Dungeon Master, and Potion Commotion. Oh, and this is a completely different type of game that I have ever played on Roblox, so you may want to pay special attention to this one. So you start off in a room with an elevator and a viewing area. When you die, you go back to this room and you can view the game that is in progress. When you enter the elevator for a match, you and 32 other people can enter the game. You spawn on a plate and you just have to stand there. The lab then gives you a warning about what's going to happen. You must read carefully to understand what to prepare for. Things that can happen is like your stuff getting larger or smaller, taller or sinking lower. It can be flipped or turned into a spear. Each of these things are designed to make you fall off the plate and into the lava below. Each time the warning comes, you get points. And if you survive 10 warnings, you get a research point. You can move around and even try to get to other people's plates. But if you die, the game is over and you have to go inside the viewing room. The goal, as you can imagine, is to be the last person standing. I think the game is so much fun and it is a different kind of game on Roblox. I like it when it gives you your character the hops and you have to hop all over the place and can't stop until you die. I also like when they have a boss fight and a giant dice comes falling down from the sky. I give Lab Experiment 10 out of 10 stars because it is different every single time that I play and you can talk with your friends in the match. The game is fun and it lasts for about 5 to 12 minutes each game. I also like the risk of chance in the game. You never know what event will happen or if you will be on the list to be affected. See TiberiusSmithLaw.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help people.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
That website again is CWSmithLaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?
Mid-State Fire has been providing top-quality fire equipment services for 3 generations to the Central Florida area. Don't wait for an emergency to repair. Call Mid-State Fire today at 407-246-8855. Get your fire extinguishers and emergency lighting for both your home and businesses by visiting www.midstatefire.com. That number again is 407-246-8855. Now it's time for the book of the week. In due time, wrong place, really wrong time. This book is written by Nicholas O. Time. I'll read the back of the book. In fact, Rocky, would you want to do the honors?
Sure. When Luis Ramirez gets a chance to go back in time, he knows just what he wants to do. He plans to go back to 1696 to see where Captain Kidd left buried treasure, and then go back and retrieve it. But when he brags about time travel to his older brother, Raphael doesn't believe him. Luis decides there's only one way to convince him. He'll bring the Book of Memories home to show him. Sure, the book is a time portal, but it's still only a book. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out a lot. Looks like a great book, Tiberius.
Mm-hmm. So, first off, this is an AR book worth 3 points. Wow, that is a lot of points. It is at a 4th grade, 5th month reading level. So the story is about Lewis, a kid in school, and he has a really cool library teacher. She's different because she's a time traveler. She has a special book called the Book of Memories that will allow one student and one friend to travel in time somewhere to learn new things. But Lewis has another idea. Even though he knows the rules of time travel, he wants to use it to make money in the future. He wants to find a treasure. So he goes back in time with his friend Patrick and ends up on a pirate ship and meets Captain Kidd himself. They attempt to search for the treasure. Well, I would love to tell you more, but after Lewis is forced to walk the plank, he... You know I'm gonna make you read the rest of the book. I give India time, wrong place, really wrong time. 10 out of 10 stars because I love pirate ships and time travel stories. You really feel like you were on a pirate ship when you are reading this book. I think all 3rd and 4th graders should read this book, especially if you like time travel. Plus, it is worth a lot of AR points for school, and since school is starting, it's a good time to read this book. The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our awesome sponsors, SlutChannelUS.com. These guys are very, very cool. They bring 21st century surface drainage solutions to reality. They can do corporate and government work. These are the guys that make roads and bridges safe in the rain. You can see all about them at SlutChannelUS.com. That website again is SlutChannelUS.com. The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom Braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering, to trophies and awards. They can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373. Now it's time for your interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Rocky! Rocky is the legislative assistant for Representative Mike LaRosa, Florida House District 42. He is also a political professional.
Thanks for having me on the show, Tiberius. I've been excited ever since you've invited me, and I really look forward to our time together.
So first off, how do you enjoy being on the show?
I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed learning about your computer game you reviewed and the book you reviewed. Thank you so much.
No worries. So, is Rocky your real first name or like a stage name?
You got me, Tiberius. That's a good question. My real name legally is Ronald Haag. My father named me Rocky after Rocky Marciano, the boxer. So Rocky is a nickname. Good question.
So to jump right in, I've been waiting to ask this question. What is politics and why is it important?
Tiberius, a very relevant question. Politics is about how a society manages the law between individuals. I first became interested in politics at a very young age from reading American history and various books. It's very unique in America in that I believe we're living in the greatest experiment in politics, in that we have and enjoy freedoms here, the right to speak, the right to have this radio show, to speak our minds, whether that be from whatever political angle that may be, and we can do that with freedom. I think that's very exciting. Tiberius, politics is about how a society makes and interprets laws which govern individuals within a specific geographic realm. For example, today we're kind of focusing on Florida politics. And, for example, we're about to have the Florida legislative session begin in January, and that runs from January to March. So literally what happens is, in this case, Representative LaRosa will travel to the capital of Florida, which is Tallahassee, Florida, and he will be there with other representatives from other counties, and they will be a lot of, and literally what happens, Tiberius, is they are in a special room, and they will interpret and make, and in some cases change laws for the specific area of Florida in this case that affect you and I. Where they get the ideas for this political experiment is they get a lot of input from residents like you and I. For example, people will call our office and say, Rocky, I think that this is not a good idea, or I think this is a good idea, or this is what's happened to me in my business. There's too much regulation. I was just trying to earn some extra money selling lemonade, for example, and there was... So that's how laws are made, is from the public cry, from public input. That's really what politics is all about. And so in America we have the tremendous honor and privilege. We live in a republic, a representative democracy, and what that means is you and I will elect people, men and women, to represent us, to go to a capitol or an assembly to make, change, or modify laws which affect our businesses, our schools, the way we live, the way we talk. And it's a very dynamic, politics is very dynamic, and that's why it's to have a robust and thriving political representative democracy, we need input from the citizenry. Otherwise, there's a tendency for the establishment, and what I mean by the establishment is vested interests who just have very focused political aims. The special interests will take over. That's why we need people like Tiberius and others to get active and say, hey, what about access to better education, educational choice? That's what about getting active in politics is all about. That's why it's very important for, again, parents. That's why please get your young people involved in politics at an early age. That means they're more than likely going to become a voter. That's very positive, because once they become a voter, that means they are part of our political structure, because when campaigns come around, they're going to show up, and that means the candidate is going to need to address you as a voter, what your goals and ideas are, and what you want to see in your government. So very important. More participation is needed in politics, and I'm very thankful that you and I live in America today, which I think the United States of America is the greatest experiment in politics in world history.
So I see on the news they talk about the red side and the blue side. Well, my dad says it's really not sides, but it's like a number line. Are there really sides?
Well, I think we're going through a very unique period of American history where I do believe there are quote-unquote sides, and I'll also come back to another point, a phenomenon that's happening as well. So we have sides. We have a Democratic Party, the blue side, and we have a Republican Party, the red side. Yes, I do believe there are sides, and to some extent, there are extremes of the blue and left that are starting to get very loud in our society, as you and I are talking today. There's also a phenomenon happening of people that are coming within our two-party system that really don't fit exact categories, an exact blue or an exact quote-unquote red. President Trump is a phenomenon. He came out from outside the political structure. And to some extent, former President Obama was an outsider. He came from outside the traditional blue or Democratic structure. So politics is in a state of flux. It's in a state of change right now, especially in America. So yes, I do believe there are sides. There are shades within those sides, but there is the phenomenon of people coming from outside the system that make politics to me very interesting.
Huh? So what is the best part of working in politics?
To me, the best part about working for Rep. Mike LaRosa is sometimes we get thank you cards from people that we've worked on their case before various government agencies, or we've assisted them in helping, for example, get into a college, get a new career through a job referral or a letter of recommendation or support. To me, that is the best feeling, the best sensation is when we get a thank you card back from a young man or woman, or from people that we've helped. It's very satisfying.
So, why did you decide that politics is where you wanted to work?
Good question. I think I was very largely influenced to become involved in politics because I had a grandfather who, when I was about your age, he used to talk to me and read newspapers to me, and he would always talk to me about politics. And I think looking back, I think it had a profound impact on my life direction, my life goals. And I would have to give credit to my grandfather for getting me interested into politics.
So what was the coolest thing that you do in working in politics?
I think the coolest thing about politics is campaigning. This is where you're in a contest literally for the hearts and minds of the region you're running. There's nothing quite like campaigning, Tiberius. It's got similar aspects to the coolest video game you've ever played, where, it's a contest for supremacy and you want to do your best. But that's the coolest thing is when I've been able to work in campaigns.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always never going to be a political professional?
The first book I read, I checked out of a school library. I was about your age, and it was a book on military heroes. And what the book had a profound effect on me, and I didn't necessarily know I wanted to serve in politics, but I knew I wanted to give something back to the people of this country.
So what is the hardest jobs to do when you are working in politics?
The challenge, great question. The challenging part about politics is you're going to work a lot of hours on a weekly basis. So for someone that has a family or other duties, it's going to be it's a balancing act. So that's the most difficult challenge I have is balancing my political workload against time with my wife, time with my children, time going to church. That's the most difficult aspect of working in politics.
Cool. So I seen in your bio that you are the legislative assistant for State Representative Mike LaRosa. So what does that mean?
What a legislative assistant does, Tiberius, is assist, in this case, Representative Mike LaRosa, with a lot of research on legislation, handling constituent requests who have interests in legislation that come before the Florida legislature. I also will oftentimes do meetings for Rep. LaRosa if he's unavailable. I will meet with other individuals and gather information and bring it back to Rep. LaRosa. It's really a very challenging job. Every day for me, I learn something new. It's really a very interesting position.
Yeah.
So you do research like a scientist?
I do a lot of research, Tiberius. Kind of like a scientist. Maybe not like a physical scientist, but like a social scientist, as far as I do a lot of research with information. So you'll see me spending a lot of time on Google, various other search engines, pulling up raw information. I do a lot of research on existing staff reports that we get that flow out of Tallahassee. I'll spend a lot of time reading and researching staff reports, and then putting that information together, not only for constituents, and that's people who live in House District 42, but we'll put that information together for Rep. LaRosa so he can utilize it as he serves the residents of House District 42.
So not everyone that is in politics is going to be on TV or a congressman. What is the difference between the jobs of the candidate and the people that work with them?
Very interesting question. There's a big difference between the candidate and or the elected official and his support staff. Congressmen and women, for example, have 10 to 15 positions to fill, as they are serving a much larger group of citizens and residents. There are some people that are going to work exclusively with constituents, and when I say constituents, I mean residents who are coming to Rep. LaRosa's office and they have problems and or challenges or need assistance with a various government entity or agency, or they need a letter of support for a particular project. So I'm one of those support people. I do things to support Rep. LaRosa in that regard. The candidate and or the elected official, their job is to make critical decisions and votes on policy that affect their region on a very large scale basis. So that's really the main difference between, for example, my job and the job of an existing political official.
Thank you, Rocky, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corner?
Sure.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com. Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Get ready, it's time for the Bowling Score Report.
So another week I did not get to go bowling. First off, the new bowling league starts next week. And second of all, I got to go to Miami and see Queen in concert. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. I sang all night long. I'm looking forward to next week so I can get back into my bowling groove.
What was your favorite part of the concert? Did they have cool lasers and stuff?
Oh yeah, they did. Cool lasers, everything.
Awesome. I love Queen. Bohemian Rhapsody is my favorite.
Oh, OMG, that's my favorite too.
Cool.
Is this real life? Is this just fantasy? I just love this song so much. So, if you want to go bowling with me, be sure to jump at the new fall league at Boardwalk Bowling Saturdays at 10 in the morning, bruh.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners.
Now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Rock, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about subtracting decimal numbers.
So even though that I am back in school, I am doing my ISL.com math questions at home. And, well, I got to a section called Subtracting Decimal Numbers. This looks normal subtraction, but there are a few tricks to make it easy. First off, you write your two numbers down on the paper. But what you do different in this is instead of lining up the last digit of the number, you line up the decimal point. See, the decimal point will ensure each place value is in the correct place. Now you do something called padding. You pad or add zeros to the end of the numbers to ensure they have the same length. So if you are subtracting 0.03 from 1.1, then you will have to add a 0 to 1.1 and make it 1.10 so it lines up. Then you subtract like normal. So 10 minus 3 is 7 and say goodbye to 1 is 0, and 0 minus 0 is 0. And finally, 1 minus 0 is 1. Oh, and be sure to put the decimal place in the answer. So instead of 107, the answer is really 1.07. So Rocky, do you not know all about how to subtract numbers with decimals?
Yes, Tiberius, thank you, because of you.
Thank you so much, Rocky, for your help with math club.
And now it's time for Heart of a Lion. We at the Tiberius Show like living with the heart of a lion. Living with the heart of a lion stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility.
This week, we're going to talk about obedience. For me, I think obedience is being fully committed to doing what is pleasing to God. The qualities of obedience are compliance with a good attitude and respect for the laws. You know when someone is obedient when they follow instructions willingly and thoroughly. So I picked obedience because I was reading a book for next week's show. It is a very large book, much larger than I normally do. I'm supposed to read 20 minutes a day, but in order to get this book done in time, my dad said I needed to do 30 minutes a day. I did the reading with a smile on my face and even did some extra time so that I was done with the book 4 days early. I like reading, but I like video games more. So it was harder for me to keep reading past my 20 minutes. But because I wanted to be obedient, I did what I was told and got the job done. It was a good book, by the way. I will review it next week with the author. So, Rocky, did you address the area of obedience at all this week?
Yes, Tiberius. I think I was obedient in one instance. There was a tourist in front of me on the highway recently, and they had a flat tire. And I thought to myself, what would the Lord want me to do in this situation? So I pulled over and helped them. I happened to have a very nice tire pump, which is powered by the cigarette lighter in the car, or power outlet of a car. And I was able to help them fill their tire up, and they were able to get back on the road and go to the airport. They were traveling here from another country. So I thank God for that opportunity to be obedient to Him and help serve others.
Of all the Heart of Lion virtues, which is your favorite?
Leadership has always intrigued me. I love reading Bible passages about leadership and also leadership in general, whether that be in military tactics, political policies. I'm fascinated by leadership.
That's great. We should always try to be mind strong in everything we do.
Yes, sir.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Rocky for being my special guest this week. It has been so much fun talking with you today. And I hope to keep learning about politics and become more involved in my community.
Tiberius, it's been an honor to be on your show. Again, I would just encourage everyone to we need more love in our society, to get involved in politics, get involved with civic organizations, bring your positive energy into America. Thank you, sir.
No worries. And be sure to listen to us next week on the Tiberius Show. Just Tiberius! Oh!
The Tiberius Show is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Executive producer Joseph Boyd. Production editor Pierre Laguerre. Green Room manager Danny Boyd. Broadcast associate James Smith. And your program host, Tiberius Boyd. The Tiberius Show is copyright 2018.